as a singer in the Bollywood space, you have like very limited rights. You don't even know if you're gonna be on it until like the day before because they might change the singer. Like it's crazy actually.
Oh wow.
If you can truly make money from music is like licensing. Like, even with like, I think if you get like 100 million streams, it generates like in the past, I've made the mistake of like investing everything on the music, and I would like allow people to maybe charge extra on top of what I was charging.
Right.
Oh my God.
This happens, it sucks.
Find out what my male counterparts are making for the same festivals. I'm like,
as an artist, it becomes tough to talk
Yes.
about all these things.
Like I know it's difficult to be a woman in this man's space.
Hi, I'm Sahiba Bali, and welcome to another episode of Girl Boss, a show that we call wonderful, successful women and ask them how they went from 0 to 1. We talk careers, money, business. Today's guest, I am very excited to have her here because I personally feel that she is a badass. She's hot, she's intelligent, she's multi-talented. She is a Grammy-nominated songwriter. She is one of the biggest hip-hop stars in India. She has her own music label called Godmother. She's a philanthropist. She's beautiful. Please welcome Raja Kumari.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sahiba.
I'm really inspired by you. My name means princess as well.
Really? I love that. You know who else's name means princess? Cleopatra.
Oh,
Means
yeah?
pride of the father.
Oh, wow.
Random.
I had no idea.
I start finding all the names that mean the same thing because
Yeah.
it can be like other synonyms
Yeah.
for us.
But do you think you actually needed a pseudonym or like a stage name?
100%.
Why?
I think, this is so interesting because I spent the first like 10, 15 years of my career like making this identity, and now I'm in the way of like unraveling it.
Yeah.
But when I started, it was very difficult to like put things on a platform and be judged in a way when it was like myself, you know? And I think I had kind of established that Sveta Rao was an Indian classical dancer.
Yeah.
And I knew that if I was like trying to rap or do something experimental or do something that wasn't traditional classical, that it would, you know, alienate my crowd. I had my own
Right.
audience. So Raja Kumari is a character. It's like a warrior that I created in my mind to defend me.
Okay, yeah.
You know, and stand in between me and the people, and like, you know, it was greater than me. It's like inspired off of Devi. America was hard to grow up in America. Like, you know, like loving my culture and being different. And, you know, now everybody knows what henna is, but I would come with alta, like for my performances,
Right.
and it would like,
We have your picture for
yeah, you know, and it would turn to this like really weird colors and stuff, and people would always be like, you have a disease on your hand.
Oh, no.
And like when you're a kid, now I have respect for my trauma. Now I'm like, it's not a small trauma. It was hard for me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure a lot of people have different, obviously horrible things that have happened to them, but I think the things that I experienced as a child that were traumatic to me helped me understand how important my culture was. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it was just, if I made this character that was like this superwoman, this like on a chariot of fire with a bow and arrow,
Yeah.
and like, you know, she wouldn't care what like, you know, like
what others are
Chrissy
saying.
was saying
Yeah.
about my, and then that's like the same person at Coachella wearing bindis and like, Hannah, mine is just like bohemian, you know. So the music being about identity was like a way to understand the world, you know, because I knew I was too Indian for the Americans and I wasn't Indian enough for India, which
Yeah.
I know is like a common, you know, it's a common.
It's like not
Yeah.
identity crisis, but you question the duality of
the
it, yes.
duality. Yeah, and I didn't want to let go of what I knew as a musician. I know what India likes.
Yeah.
You know, and I've fallen into doing that, you know, and I know what America wants from me.
Yeah.
It's a lot less clothes, and the topics have to change to a lot more dense, you know.
Right.
But even that, I don't know. I'm not willing to like, you know, leave the path that I'm on.
But it's amazing how you very seamlessly have navigated without losing a sense of self, because that's what happens when you try to, like you said, the duality. If you're struggling between two identities, it doesn't seem that you have, and that is inspiring for others. Because I know so many people or Indians who are in the artistic space, and they don't know whether they should follow the Indian route or the American route.
And I feel like, you know, I've seen this struggle that we all have with the duality, and I know like very early on, that was my topic. It's like from mute, I'm like, they thought the curry was soup. I had to feed these fools.
Yes.
And like the American flag across my face, you know, with the jewelry. And it's been this like struggle. And I feel like with the new generation that has had TikTok and has had Reels and have been expressing themselves, like it wasn't like, I don't know, I wasn't one of those artists that was on YouTube like singing covers or talking all the time. It was like, my first release on YouTube was mute. Like I waited until...
So you were doing your own thing, what was right for you.
I was just doing what was behind the scenes. I was working as a songwriter, you know, and so I feel like in the 8 years since I've released like Mute and Bindis and Bangles and Karma and, you know, these very like, just exploring this duality, I just feel like it's created like a safer space. And I'm seeing it trickle down in different ways, and it's exciting because, you know, maybe the duality of our identity doesn't have to be like the primary topic for all of us forever.
Talking about culture, so hip hop is not native to India. And obviously in US, hip hop had its own thing. It's huge and it's easy to kind of fit in. But when you come to India, it's usually, do you think people they sideline hip hop? Do they look at it in a respectful manner? Has it been a struggle to be a hip hop artist in the country?
There's been such an evolution. I think it's been amazing to be a hip hop artist in this country because we got to experience like so much. I mean, much to the like chagrin of the artists that were here before we came, like before the explosion, like I know that heavy metal was like the ruler of the festivals, and hip hop just came in and just changed overnight. It was like it was gonna be these heavy metal bands, and then after that, it was us, and that was, I don't think anyone expected that to happen, and for it to shift. And even me, like, you know, when I came and I did my first like performances in India in 2016, I saw female artists and I was like thoroughly respected like the fact that like I don't know if I was growing up in India if my same parents would have let me do this in India, because they were so crazy in America, but I'd be like, it's not India, let me go. But what if it was, you know, like they would have been literally crazy. So I had so much respect for everyone that was like in the scene, but I knew what the international like standards and like, you know, what we needed to get to, where the culture had to go. Like we had to go from battle rapping, which is like literally one of the hardest things. Like I don't battle rap. I have respect for the people that can do that. You know, we had to take it from this like underground space to like,
so it was very, very niche when you had come.
It was very niche. There was, I mean, I could count the female artists on one hand, like that I knew of that were like getting booked, that were performing.
The challenge is breaking into India to create a hip hop scene. And I think the second challenge is it's very male dominated. For example, if I talk to someone about hip hop, usually they will give me names of 3 people. Like probably they'll say Kanye or Jay-Z, or even in India, if I say hip hop, they don't have a few names. But if you ask ChatGPT or if you go online, your name comes. You're probably in the first 2 names, which is amazing.
Bless ChatGPT for that. No, it's so interesting because I'll watch like the DHH like reviewers like talk about hip hop, and they'll like, and it's so interesting. They'll talk about like the accolades of men that'll be like first to do this, and they'll just ignore the fact that I did it a year before.
Yeah, that's exactly
like
what I'm saying.
Completely ignore. Like I'm not trying to be mean, but I love King. He was on my show, but like there was like an article that was like King, the first hip hop artist at Cannes, and I'm like, I was on the cover of Hello Mag in a Manish Malhotra in the Martinez Hotel at Cannes last year, guys. Like, why? And it's interesting because I'm American. Like, I ended up getting this India tattoo after my first shows.
Oh, nice.
Because people would be like, you're not Indian. And I'd be like, check the bloodline, my friend. Check the bloodline.
But I'm very curious to know about your upbringing, your childhood. Okay, growing up, did you have any icons, people who inspired you, favorite artists?
Oh, man. Yeah, see, it's so interesting because I feel like the way I grew up, classical dance was like the main focus. And my mom basically was like programming me from day one. Because now I know she made this video that was like a mixtape of all the Telugu films that had classical dance. So there was Kamala Hassan in Sagar Sangamam, Swarna Kamalam with Bhanupriya, and there was other films like Saptapadi, Ananda Bhairava. These are all like 80s, early 90s. And my mom cut out all the film. It was just the classical dance things. And there's like videos of me like like trying to dance and stuff like that. So when my mom met my guru, she went to some like Telugu association thing in America, and my guru Sumati Kaushal was there, and she was living in India. She had done like 130 Arangetrams. Like she was like,
oh wow,
this like big deal. She had danced for all the presidents. Like, you know, she's serious dancer. She came to meet me, and I remember I danced for her, and something I had learned something. She said that you were like a little doll of clay ready to be molded. So I feel like my parents really dug into that, and I remember my childhood like I would miss school to go perform. You know, my first Arangetram I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
And Ravi Shankar was
Your
there.
first Arangetram was when you were
7 years old.
That's very young.
Very young. And my second Arangetram, and so first was Kuchipudi style, then I did Bharatanatyam, and I was 8, so I did that in a year.
Yeah.
And 10, I toured India. I did a 15-city tour by myself.
So you were always a performer.
Like, I feel like that tour trained me for my life because it was like an 8-person orchestra. Like, the process, like every morning going and checking all the newspapers and seeing myself, it was like, but then the work of it, 15, like I was doing 2-hour performances alone with like,
wow,
you know, there was nobody with me. And like, then I'd have to sit for an hour and a half of people talking in Telugu. Like, you know, I used to have this doll. Like the second I was done dancing, I was like playing with the doll.
That's crazy exposure at a young age.
Yeah,
so.
a lot.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it was like a lot. And like, you know, they would call me chubby in the newspaper. Like, you know, very early dealing with like public image.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was just, you know, I was like, my mom, Ravi Shankar said I was a child prodigy at 6, and my mom would have made T-shirts if she could have. She was like momager #1.
Yeah.
You know, so there was like a lot of that pressure as a child. Like, you are a child prodigy. You cannot waste this time. Your guru, my guru lived in my house.
Okay. So you were doing this every day?
Like, she came and lived. So every day, like 4 to 5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. And like after I'd finish rehearsing, I'd be like, want to show my parents while we're having dinner. I would dance again.
So then how, from a very Indian cultural aspect of dance, how did you skip suddenly into songwriting and hip hop, which is very US as well, and music?
When I was 14, I came to India and I gave my third Arangetram in Odissi style.
Wow.
And to me at that point, like I had just started high school, and that identity kind of thing where inside the house was India, you know, like carved doors, guru lives at home, only Indian food, like we're watching Telugu films, like I'm listening to Balu Murali Krishna.
Oh, wow.
I'm like sneaking in like an NSYNC CD and like,
okay. Yeah.
that was probably the beginning of like wanting to, like basically I was dancing for charity a lot.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, if I'm dancing, the money should go to charity. Like I had some issue with like taking money for my art, which
Indian mentality.
it takes time to like decide that it's worthy, you know? And if I would earn anything, I would give it back like to the temple or something.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I remember I asked like every uncle I knew, like every single person, and I raised something like $75,000, okay, in one night.
Wow.
Tickets sold, but I had like rinsed everyone I knew, you know?
Okay.
Like that was the max. And like if I tried to do it again a month later, I couldn't ask these same people again.
Yeah.
Like everyone gave me money. So it really bothered me that we needed like 2.5 million, and like it bothered me that the total, we needed 2.5 million.
Okay.
So we raised 80,000. And what it bothered me was after a year, I was like, okay, let's try it again. And they're like, oh yeah, the money you raised went into operational costs. Like 5, 6 people have gone through the program, but like the program is not installed.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, if I was a pop star, if Justin Timberlake said Indic Foundation needs $2.5 million, we would have the money before he left the stage.
Yeah.
And then the idea was born that I should become a pop star.
So it came from like philanthropy, like another completely different reason for you to become a singer, not just because of...
Because I was like, dance does not have the platform. Like I burned the platform as far as I could. People are just like, the dance doesn't go bigger, but pop stars, my God, like I could put classical dance on that plate. Like I could make sure that it still stays cool because we're gonna lose it.
Yeah.
Like the more, like I'm like, I looked at Bollywood then and I'd be so sad because I love to watch the lehengas and the clothes and it was like disappearing. You know, of course, like 2000s Bollywood was great, but I'm like, at that time I was like, oh my God, the westernization is going at like such a steady pace. Like, what happens if we lose the dance? Like, what if I was a pop star that like loved classical dance and like kept putting it everywhere and made it like cool?
Yeah.
So that's how it was born.
And did you have to train yourself in singing or like performance?
No, I think I always had this, like, I remember touring with the orchestra and like they would be like, they'd have these parts, and I would like mimic them with my voice. So
Okay.
I was always using my voice, and obviously in like
You were- because of dance, you know, yeah.
yeah, I was already like, you know, and that was actually one of the moments was when I realized like, you know, I don't belong in America, and then I would hear in like 2002 Timbaland just straight up putting Indian music
Yeah,
on the
I remember
radio,
this, yeah.
like just straight up Indian music, and that made me think. I'm like, well, if they can sample us, like, if they're using Indian music, then they have to accept me.
Right.
Like if America doesn't want to accept me, like this community, they're gonna understand me because
Yeah.
and it was my whole thing was how do I get to Timbaland? That was it.
And then you did.
Right there, yeah, I did.
That's
I got to work with
amazing.
Timbaland quite a few times. There's a lot of unreleased music.
But unreleased music where you lost money, so obviously it's also business, and we need to just accept it that
Yes.
with arts and performance, you have to make a career of it. You also have to think about the money.
Yes.
Did you actually get into this and try to understand how the business works? Do you still understand how the business works?
See, I just jumped in head first, and I think my issue in the beginning is I was very trusting to everybody,
yeah.
very gullible to the fact that like I was a commodity and I didn't understand my value, and I would like allow people to maybe charge extra on top of what I was charging,
Right.
Maybe even double. Maybe they were making more than me. I don't know.
You wouldn't know the...
I wouldn't know because I think like we come into the scene thinking that and managers and like agents and stuff are there to like protect you. But the thing that I've learned, and not to be like dark or anything, is that you really have to like care about every part of your business. And I think being a musician, I assumed music would be the more like the majority of my job,
Yeah.
but it's turned into like 2 to 5%. And like the rest of my job has been like chasing money, making sure the deals are correct, negotiating, making sure the people who are negotiating on my behalf are not giving like half my value, like jumping in, demanding more money. Like I just like, now I've understood as I've like peeled back all the layers and have taken over control of my company, like piece by piece, like I have to learn like GST payments come on this time and all this stuff. And imagine I'm learning a second country's tax codes because I had to learn America's at some point.
Actually, that was going to be my second question. For you, you have to deal with 2 different economies and 2 different accounting systems, which are crazy. How do you go on with actually figuring out your finances for the 2 countries?
I've kind of kept them separate because what I've realized is like transferring money out of India is like very difficult.
You're going to lose money anyway. if
You
do that.
lose it, and plus it's very difficult. It takes like a long time. So I don't know if this is right, and I would love that my ecosystems would like be more integrated, because in America I have different types of income. Like in America, I'm a songwriter. So songs that I've done that are in films, on TV, you know, other people's albums, they're playing, they're being licensed and synced, so there's money being collected through royalties.
Right.
Where in India, the royalty system is not really in place.
Right.
So the money that goes in America, if I'm not in the country working, is like mailbox money. It's just coming.
It's like automated. It will
Automated.
happen. Yeah.
So I like let that sit there to take care of the costs that are in America.
Yeah.
And then the money, because I'm mostly in India and I work here, I would say that my money is mostly made from brands.
Okay.
Which is like a really strange thing, because that's what I'm saying, like music being only 5%, I think people get in the industry and they're like, why is this artist getting all these like opportunities or whatever? But it's like, yeah, I at some point understood that my job was not to make music as much as I wanted to anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to change that. That's like what I'm going through now with taking control of my business and, you know, like I realizing that I'm setting the deadlines, right? Like I used to like put some self-imposed deadline and like release something before it was ready because I want to make it for this season and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I've stopped that. I'm like, the quality of the music is so much more important right now than the quantity. And like, as a brand, Kumari, like the brand Kumari, as a brand, I like doing brand endorsements.
Of
like I
course.
feel like it's,
And also, there's no harm in doing it because that's where money is coming, and let women
there
earn money.
can be harm. I'll just say that you have to really be careful who you do business with, because
That's true.
I was taking deals and I was just like, oh yeah, I'm sure that my team has vetted this company.
Yeah.
And like, you know, like there'll be deals that come in from like betting companies and gaming companies, and people will just take the deals, but you don't know how you're gonna get implicated. Like I have had situations where like, you know,
No, it happens. Also, I
Yeah.
feel like the people who are watching you think you're credible, and if you start doing work with brands, they start questioning your credibility.
Exactly. The music is actually the thing that has put me here, and that's why it's a little bit of a stress to me that,
Yeah.
like, you know, the majority of the business has gone towards like administrative,
Yeah.
and like, you know, like outreach.
Right.
You know, and I think like I'm signed to WME in America, which is one of the top agencies. But you know, you have to be in America to like, you know, you have to like be present, and you have to like. I think the problem with being India and America is this: America, like WME is one of the best global agencies in the world, right?
Right.
They can handle everything, but India is another world.
It is. It's actually one world
It's
within
its own
yeah.
world. And what I've understood in running my business is that it's every time I've tried to apply American business practices or like ideas to Indian projects,
won't work.
timelines, it just doesn't work.
doesn't work.
And then people just end up beefing, and then it's like, you know, and it's like on language, like, you know, not even
Yeah.
like, it's just like the way that things are said in India can be perceived as rude to Americans.
Yes.
And then I find myself being like a referee, which is like exhausting.
Exhausting. But if you had to talk about, like you said, a lot of money comes from brands, and then there's music, and then there's your own label, Godmother,
Yeah.
and then royalties, etc.
Yeah.
If you had to rank in order of revenue, which do you think pays the highest and what pays the lowest?
The lowest one is definitely going to be royalties.
Royalties, yeah.
They're working on the royalty association, but like in general, it's like very minor. I would say even with like, I think if you get like 100 million streams, it generates like $4,000. Like I'm just trying to
Okay.
explain, like it's very,
Yeah.
very minimal. That might not be right.
And
Maybe
then you
it's
said you have to split it as well.
whoever's the writers, right?
Yeah.
When a song is licensed, okay, there's a recording of the song that's created. And
Right.
somebody usually pays for that recording, whether it's the label or myself, and I would own the master recording of the song.
Okay.
Okay. So when a song goes into like a TV show or something and they pay a licensing fee, the fee is actually paid twice. It's paid, like, let's say the licensing fee is $10,000.
Right.
Then 10,000 will go to the master recording, and 10,000 goes to be split between the writers. So the producer, the writer. This is how a normal American licensing deal that are now trickling into India. So
Yeah.
I would hope to give this information. So the way that it has changed since I've become the label is like now when that license comes in, I get to keep the master side to recoup the costs.
Exactly, because your lots of costs went to create that piece.
Because the songs are not being sold anymore.
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
only way that you can truly make money from music is like licensing. Like I think my biggest checks in life have come from licensing.
Okay.
Like with Netflix or, you know, because I sit in this like this space between East and West, and there's so many South Asian like stories being told on Netflix. I'm really lucky that I'm one of the names that they come to because I love creating, you know, music for scenes. Like
Yeah.
it's very fun as a songwriter to step out of the box of like, what would Raja Kumari do? And just like
Yeah.
write something for a film or a character. And those projects, like if you are, you know, an artist and wanting to really secure your financial freedom in this space, I would say to diversify into songwriting.
That
like a
helps.
lot of musicians come in and just perform.
So there are different avenues, like a singer or performer can make money. One
Yes.
is you're saying licensing,
Licensing,
royalties.
yeah, royalties.
The other is that you create for others, which is like songwriting.
The reason I would say it's really important to try to be the writer is like I've navigated this Bollywood space now.
Yeah.
And the thing is, because I am able to create such like a unique sound for myself, people can't write for me. So
Right,
they
yeah.
require me to come in as a writer. And so what I've understood is like, as a singer in the Bollywood space, you have like very limited rights. Like, you know, they'll like, you don't even know if you're gonna be on it until like the day before because they might change the singer. Like it's crazy actually
Oh, wow.
in that space. And like, they'll be doing this to like huge singers and you're
Yeah.
just like, this is the way it works. And I don't know if there's like a lot of payment on like the actual recording. I think that it's like, there's other things that happen through it. But if you're a writer, then you can negotiate like a composition fee.
Of course,
you can
yes, yeah.
negotiate like credits for yourself.
Yeah. But you don't
because
own the piece.
You're never gonna own a Bollywood.
Unlike licensing, where you own the piece, but then
They're licensing it from you. With Bollywood, the best that I've been able to figure out with them is like, since I'm a writer, like, okay, because royalties are not collected in India doesn't mean they're not collected around the world.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair.
So if you are a member of like a PRO society where I'm like a BMI member, there's ASCAP, which are the societies in the West.
Yeah.
Obviously, India's one is like, it's gonna get there.
There, yeah.
Then they'll be collecting for the song in places
okay.
where they pay for it.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of songwriters and a lot of musicians in India maybe aren't. I don't know if they're as aware of that. Like there's like something called sound exchange, which is literally if your vocal is used on a song, there is a certain amount of money that's collected on behalf of that, even for the vocalist.
Okay.
So I think it's
So
just
the
about
different avenues. Well, what about live shows then?
So live shows, the thing that I don't think people understand is the onus of the production is also on you. So
Okay.
like when I do a festival stage, a headliner, like they may give me a lump sum, but I have to pay the lighting, the tech for the sound tech, the dancers, the costume, makeup, hair, background dancers.
So your cost
band.
includes all of it.
Yes.
Oh.
So that was something that like, you know, when people see like enormous shows, a lot of times like artists are going out
Yeah.
of pocket in order to
Yeah.
deliver the experience, which is like what I've had to do most of my headlining.
Whether you're streaming, licensing, writing, a lot of cost is borne actually by the artists themselves.
Everything is like, it's like crazy. Even like, that's the thing. It's like, it's something's got to give, because I feel like it's not required that every single person should become an influencer and like,
Yeah.
you know, like that's what Godmother is for me. I feel like there's singer-songwriters that don't want to fight the patriarchy. I mean, they do
Yeah.
for their music, but they don't want to go into meetings and like talk shit and like be that person. So it's like, okay, I did it. Let me see if I can create a safe space where you can continue to be soft and like love your space and like be yourself. Like we don't need 100 Raja Kumaris. We need
Yeah.
unique artists. We need the things that I had, you know, like when I was in LA, I was able to experiment and try different things as a writer. And like my real goal in the next 10 years is to create infrastructure and education.
And that's what you want to do with Godmother?
That's what I want to do with Godmother. The first and foremost, I'm writing a songwriting manual, which is after 10 years of being a published songwriter and just sharing some of the tricks of the trade when it comes to like, you know, I feel like music is also just trying to get people to remember things. So it has a
Yes.
little hypnosis, a little bit of magic, a little bit of symmetry,
Yeah.
a little bit of sound healing. And there's certain things that you can imbibe your intention in. And that's what I've done my whole
So
career.
it will include education as well within
Yes.
Godmother? Oh my God,
Yeah,
that's
I mean, the real purpose of Godmother is to create like a network of female musicians and creatives, whether
Yeah.
it's going to be like directors and writers. I just want to create, like my best work in the last 4 or 5 years has been with an all-female creative teams.
That's
We do
amazing.
have like 1, 2 guys that like make it happen for us, but like they always have sisters, so we're like, we know how to deal with it. I've had opportunities when I got it and I did exactly what they asked me to do, but like
Yeah.
if you ask me to look back on that video, I don't want to watch it.
no fair.
You know, like I don't really ever repost of someone. Like I want to enjoy my life. I want people to enjoy their lives too and not go through a lot of the things that I have to go
but
through.
also being a performer, singer comes with a lot of
Costs.
costs and then struggles about negotiating your
Yes.
contracts, which are away from your creativeness, but things that you have to practically do. Do you struggle with these things? What is your take on all these practicalities of being an artist?
I sometimes wish I didn't tell people my name was Sveta, so Sveta could manage Raja Kumari. Like that would be so lit, because I realize sometimes when the artist goes in and does the deal themselves, the closeness to the brand can be like a negative in the long run, because people always take your closeness as a weakness, and everybody, especially from a brand side, is going to
100%.
want to squeeze it. Like, how many more reels can we get? What more can we get?
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, I'm a human being. I'm not a product.
Yeah.
You know, but I think that's the like, you know, risk of going into brand stuff and doing these things, because you do become the product. You know, it's really trippy. But I would say,
You talk money or where you're negotiating, people will call you names. I'm going to say this, she's trying too hard, she's being a diva. But when you're a dude and you're doing it, wow, no, now we should look into it. This happens, it sucks.
That's what I'm saying. I remember when I find out what my male counterparts are making for the same festivals, I'm like, oh my God, if I got that, I wouldn't have to come out of pocket.
This is exactly what we were talking about, that as an artist, it becomes tough to talk about all
Yes.
these things. And I mean, probably you have to do it, but this is the painful points of being an artist.
I would say that the most valuable thing I've done is like sat down and understood, like I call them team captains. I'm like team captain finance, team captain this. And I've just like broken them down, and then, you know, I have the whiteboard in my house and I have like sections and things go on the list, and like I for sure have ADHD. I need a list to make myself feel better, but it's gotten a lot better, and I feel like I feel less out of control, where I think maybe emotional reactions, which are not allowed from us.
Yeah.
You know, like if a man is like, then they're like, wow, what a powerful display of masculinity.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I will not do this. And they're like, what?
She's being emotional.
Bitch. She's
being
emotional. Is she
cranky.
on her rag? Like, you know, it's like so ridiculous.
Artists are making money in India, which is great,
Yes,
and
they are.
even women are making a lot of money.
Yes, they are.
A lot of people don't know this, but like women investing started in India with old self-help groups years and years ago. I wanted to ask you, how do you take care of your money? Do you invest? Do you just let it be in the savings
Man.
bank? Do you invest in real estate, mutual funds?
Okay, yeah, that's so funny. That's such a good question. So I feel like in the past I've made the mistake of like investing everything on. I don't know if it's a mistake. I used to put everything on the music.
Yeah.
So when I'm like, hey, you want to see where my savings are? I'm like, watch Bindis and Bangles. The digital cost me about 7 lakhs. I'm like, that's where my money went. But now I think like as I've gotten a grasp of like all the hidden costs, what it actually takes to have like salaried workers and like how the music money doesn't come when it's supposed to. Like, you know, like you'll have your contract signed, you're waiting for like literally 2 months and like the video's out. Has 10 million views, still haven't seen
But
your
money hasn't come out.
Still haven't seen your money. You paid GST also. Everything's done.
All the time.
You're just
and then
waiting.
You're following up, hello.
Yeah,
Please
it's
pay.
bad. It's bad. There is longevity in this,
Yeah.
and I think like what I've done is I've definitely like. My parents have, you know, helped me kind of invest in some properties. So like I definitely believe in having property as something, but now it's changing. I feel like I can't be as selfish and just put everything on my dream. Like now I really have a vision for the future and what I want to create, you know, with the label. And so I've changed my business practices and I definitely want to get more into investing. That's something that's interesting to me. I've always been like, I'm not interested in that, but it's like, I realize now when I behave like that, it's like I fear it in some way, and I don't want to fear anything.
It is daunting for a lot of people to talk about handling money. Getting money is great, but then handling money is...
I think like in a lot of ways, I just like think of my dad as the one that teaches me those types of things, and I think taking control of those things is almost like a scary notion to like become the adult.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I see now. Just like I saw this, I can see prophetically how I can fix this, and
and you will.
Yeah, I mean, like everything is beautiful, but I think as somebody who's always going to be ambitious, always be looking for more, like you can always have that long-term plan of all the things you'd love to do, but now I've learned that every day needs to be enjoyed.
Yeah.
And like I just need to agree to the things that like really feel good to me, and don't just take projects like quantity, take the quality ones, because the quantity ones will end up costing you mental peace. And that is so expensive, you know? So I think quality over quantity.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's where we're
I'm going to ask you quickly a rapid fire round.
Okay.
Okay, you ready? Top 3 favorite tracks you created.
Ooh. Oh my God, whatever jumps in my head, I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Okay, so In Love jumped in, which was like a crazy experience in the video, but really fun working with Guru.
Yeah.
Sidhu Moosewala.
Of course, yeah.
Us.
That was a very good song.
And I wanna say Mira on my first album.
Oh,
because it was like the first time I like successfully like did justice to both sides of the conversation.
Yeah.
And I was like, I am the one I thought I was, you know.
Amazing. Okay. Top 3 collaborations.
Oh, we just did it.
Yeah.
Okay, Kailash Kher.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who else have I got? John Legend.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm such a brat. Who else?
I got a chance to see that. It was amazing.
Oh my God, that was my favorite show. I feel like I've taken a break after that, so my return to the stage will be very, very tasty. My third one, you were asking for a collab.
Yeah.
Shah Rukh Khan.
Oh, fair. Yeah, that's
Because he did write the lyrics on Husn Parcham. Anything in Hindi, I wrote.
He wrote that?
No, so I wrote it in English, and I was like in my flavor, and he was like, "Can you say tevar?" And then he's like, I really like this one line, which is like hilarious. Aaj raat ko lagega. And I was like, you know what? I can write that for you. I was like, I will do the hoiest song ever. Like, it's fine.
I had no idea you
I'm
guys worked. Yeah, you
co-writer.
collaborated.
I keep that co-writing credit. It's real to me.
Top 3 big financial mistakes or lessons from it.
Arey baap re. Paying out before you receive your money. Like, I feel like I pay like whatever my costs are, but I need to like take care of myself and pull in the funding. Second thing is like, this is so funny, but like when you make a lakh, it's not a lakh. By the time it goes through the system, if you make a lakh, you want to hire someone for a lakh, that money disappears. You need to pay attention. It's actually like 40,000 after it goes through commissions and taxes and everything. So yeah, just like understanding like taxes and how that actually applies to like the amount of money I actually
In
have
hand.
to make the project.
Yeah.
Because at some point I would just like sell everything on my body to make the music video. I'd be like, it's okay, take the gold. You know, like I was like ridiculous. I just wanted to see my videos be what I saw, you know?
Yeah.
I think, and spending my own money on videos, you guys spend other people's money.
Yeah, you should. Top 3 affirmations you tell yourself.
Oh, okay. Money is energy.
Yeah.
And it's attracted to me.
Okay.
Money loves me. The new one is I'm meant for the stage.
Ooh.
Because I think it's easy, as I told you, when 5% is only music, I kind of like forgot like how important it is. So that's my mantra right now because I want it to be a larger percent of my day. What's the third one? I'm like, Har Har Mahadev.
That's also affirmation.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, that's energy. That brings you energy.
That's
Fair.
important. It's important.
3 things you wish women could unlearn.
Ooh. That more happens for you when you're docile and like, you know, if you're just nice and don't talk much, that things will work out. There's a way that it works out, but if you're really outspoken, you should just say the thing that's on your mind.
Yeah.
It's better to get it out in the open than hold back your feelings. I think that we have to know that we're worthy of making money.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that.
You know, everyone who sat on this seat has spoken about imposter syndrome, that you don't think that you're worthy enough because society is like, but you know.
But you're a woman.
Yeah.
You should only take this much.
Yeah.
It's good enough you got the job, right?
Yeah.
There's nobody else there but you.
The label is great, the brand is great, you know.
Even though it's a bad loan and they're gonna, you should just take it. It's nice. Yeah. I think being worthy of money is really important. Like I'm worthy of being paid what I deserve for the work that I have done, and I think also like. Just trusting other people. Like I think that like that vibe of like my dad is gonna take care of it. I'm sure I'm Papa Ki Pari. I understand. I know I can say it. I'm sure I haven't been through the same struggles as other people, but it comes with its own problems because we don't learn things sometimes in the real world. And people are wondering like, how are you getting duped at this age? And you're
getting
like
that knowledge.
Yeah, you're like I never was outside. So it's its own issue. So I would just say like the sooner you understand every single part of your business, like when you just map it out and give it teams, then it's the better. Because like I know that once you understand the structure of it, like we're women, like we are made to organize and
multitask.
Yes, we can run it all at the same time, but it takes lists.
Yeah. So. Okay, you have to fill in this blank.
Okay.
A girl boss is.
Girl boss is okay. It's like a manifestation because when you say girl, I think of like a baby girl boss, and I feel like. That's something that we need to aspire towards, but then there's a moment when you have to step into just being boss.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I know it's difficult to be a woman in this man space, but I think the more we cherish, like, our women friendships and, like, take advice from other people and, like, be strong in our own power, like, there maybe won't need to be a separation.
I love it. Yeah. Thank you so much, Raja Kumari, for coming. This has been a great conversation. You have inspired me to create my own vision board.
Please do.
And I hope very big, better, and always onwards and upwards for you. This is so great. Thank you so much for being here. If you like this video, please do let us know. Who do you want to see next on this couch here with me? Leave in the comments below. And like this video, share and subscribe to 01 by Zerodha.
Ready?
Yes.